Hi everybody, I am Taylor behind TLB Knits, and in this video I'm going to take you through my 2026 bingo card. So I'm going to put my bingo card up here, and we're first going to walk through all of the categories that I have on my card and talk about some ideas that you could put on your card. So first, I'm going to start in the top left corner. I do know my right from my left once in a while. The first section that we're going to go through is using stash yarn. This is mostly geared around using single skeins of yarn, maybe some single sweater quantities of yarn. The patterns I'm going to call out are not going to be sweater patterns. They're going to be intended to use single skeins of yarn, not necessarily scraps, because we'll get into that in another section. So I have another challenge for myself, and it's to not buy yarn for 1 month. That may be difficult. When I get struck by inspiration, I typically pick it up and write my idea down to pick up later. But I think for 1 month, this will be doable, and I'm thinking that month may be February with everything I have going on. So fingers crossed, but I do need to check this one off in order to finish my bingo. I also have a box of WIPs that I will be making a video on in the next coming weeks. They are fully knit garments, fully knit accessories. They just need their ends woven in and blocked. So I consider those works in progress now. They are marked finished on my Ravelry. I will be completely honest with you. So I'm not going back through my Ravelry projects where I did log these and making them not finished yet and putting them back into the work in progress status. Instead, what I'm going to do is document when I finish an object. Here on my podcast, I'm going to count those as FOs, but mark them as almost half FOs because I did no knitting on them. I just did the finishing steps that I have been procrastinating. So we're going to see this weaving in ends or finishing WIPs that I did not carry many WIPs from 2025 into 2026. Actually, the one I did carry in, I finished, and I'll put the picture here. This is my Great Gingham Raglan, and I'll talk more about it on my next podcast. So that's weaving in on WIPs. Next, I have New to Me Designer. I'm going to note this throughout the entire video, what patterns are new to me from a new to me designer, meaning I have never knit their patterns before, and I've seen them before, obviously, because these are my Ravelry and my favorites, but I have never knit their patterns before, and I really want to broaden my horizon to knitting other people's other patterns outside of my typical designers that I pull from. I typically will pull from Andrea Mowry, Saori Nordland. I see a lot of petite knit, but I really want to highlight some other designers that I may not have seen regularly. My second section that we're going to rapid fire style go through some patterns is colorwork socks. I've made colorwork socks. I love them because there's an extra layer of fabric made by all of your floats that keep your feet extra toasty. My next section will be 100% scrap projects, meaning all of these little bits of balls that you see in my stash behind me. I want to use some of those. I also have a box of scraps in my closet, so they get overwhelming fast, and why not have a 100% scrap project or projects? I'm also wanting to knit with new to me yarn, so I would include something that's in my stash that I have never knit with before. So I will call that out when I knit with new to me yarn, but I don't have any patterns today called out for new to me yarn in my rapid fire review that we'll do after this. I also have knit one pullover. I've technically finished one already this year, but I'm not going to count it. I want to start and finish it in 2026, so we'll go through some pullover patterns. Next is I want to do some more brioche. I like knitting brioche. Do I love it? Not always, but it is a fun project, and I typically want to do this at least once a year to keep my skills sharp. Next, I want to have a hand-spun project. There are lots of patterns that are good for hand-spun yarn. I'll try to call that out here as we rapid fire go through these patterns, but I spin. I don't spin often. You'll see later on that I want to spin more, and I want to knit with my hand spun yarn. You can see some of it right here. I'll just try to circle that in my video editing I'm trying to do. And so I'm going to try and use some of that up. I have a project currently on the go as well for spinning that I would like to make a jaunty shawl out of. So there's a sneak peek at some rapid fire patterns. I also would like to knit from a book, not my book. I have lots of knitting books. I'm just gonna pause for the jets. I found out in my first take of this video, you can hear those, so I'm gonna try to cut those out. But if I can't do so cleanly, I apologize. But I want to knit from one of my knitting pattern books. I collect the Lina magazines, I have Pom Pom magazines, I have Sari Nordland's book, Kutufa Kika's books. They all have beautiful patterns, but one of the things I don't tend to do is pick up one of my hard copies of a book to knit a pattern from. And that is just because I like to knit on the go. I am going all the time, so you're getting me with partially damp hair because I am about to be on the go today. So I want to make sure I put aside projects specifically from books. Next, I want to do some intarsia. So this is going to also cross into some of my book categories, but I have never knit intarsia. That would be a new to me technique. We have a free space. Yay! We get to cross one off before the end of the video. So then next, I want to knit a shawl. I like shawl knitting. I like wearing shawls. I just am putting it on my to-do list this year to make sure I finish one. I also would like to knit one gift. Admittedly, I know I'm going to knit multiple gifts, but just to keep myself accountable and say it's a goal for me every year to not just knit for myself, but for others, I put it on my bingo card. I'd like to crochet a project. Inevitably, once a year over the summer, I get bitten by the crochet bug and I want to make a crochet project. So I'm going to go through some crochet garments and accessories that I think might make its way onto my hook this summer. I also would like to use stash yarn. So there it is again. And then I would like to participate in a test knit. This may be the one box on my bingo card that I may not be able to cross off if I don't get selected. I'm okay with not being selected. I'm very selective about what I apply to, not because of designers or the style or any of that. It's mostly because of my time. So I know February is going to be a busy month for me. So if there's something where the majority of the test knit is going to be in February, I know I shouldn't apply to that just because I won't be able to finish it by the designer's deadline. I'm a fairly quick knitter. I'm hoping to not discourage you by me being a quick knitter. I have a lot of time to knit because I do work from home. I'm in meetings a lot of the day. I cannot multitask well by answering an email and listening to somebody talk and also trying to take good notes on what I need to take away from that meeting. So I like to put something simple in my lap and knit and keep my hands occupied, because if they are not occupied, I'm going to be chatting this person at work and emailing this person back and doing anything but paying attention to the meeting I have been invited to. So please do not be discouraged by the amount of projects I anticipate finishing this year. I do put a lot of time aside to knit. I travel, so I knit when I travel. And honestly, my biggest hack to getting more knitting done is to bring it with you everywhere you go. Whether you never pick it up or not, it's worth having the project bag with you. And my dad, who will watch this video, is going to be able to attest to that. He says, "Did you really need to bring your knitting here?" We went golfing and I brought my knitting. So if that tells you anything. So yeah, test knits with a limited window. I don't know if I'd be able limit a window that is in a busy season for me may not be doable, which this box this is the only one I would let myself change over, and when I change it over, it would be to use stash yarn once again. So next is to spin some stash fiber. I have a box of fiber just behind me here, and I have done very little spinning. I love spinning, just haven't done a lot of it. So we're going to do some more of that this year. We see that weave and ends one whip again. So I only have 3 listed on my bingo card. I'm going to try to do a lot more than that this year. Next is to knit one cardigan. We'll go through some of those patterns. Some cable knit socks. I only have a couple of those patterns to call out, and then knitting from a book again. Knitting one new design, which I may be able to cross off. I'm looking for your input on this one. Knitting one new design. Is this something that I can knit for myself, grade out, and that grade the pattern, not gray out. Grade the pattern, and then wait to find a tech editor. I've been reaching out, so I'm looking for a tech editor, but publishing is a question mark right now. So if I knit a new design, does it need to be published? To check this off, let me know down below. And then lastly, a new to me technique, which you may be able to figure out. Intarsia is going to be the new to me technique this year. But if I find something else, I'm very excited to try it. So let's talk about some caveats here. In order for me to get a bingo this 2026, I have to have a full page crossed off. All of these categories are very doable in the 2026 year for me. And one project, though, can only cross off 2 boxes. So let's say I knit a pullover that is also Intarsia, but I want to use Intarsia as also a new to me technique. I can only cross off Intarsia and new to me technique. I can't then also cross off a pullover. Let's say that I do a stash yarn brioche pullover. I cannot cross off all 3. I have to pick 2 that are most important to me to cross off. So with that said, let's jump into some patterns. I'm going to go through this rapid fire style. I'm going to have a link down below to a Ravelry bundle where you can see all of the patterns that I'm going to list out here, as well as some additional ones that would fit great into this category. After we do these patterns, I'm going to talk about some additional ideas that would be great on a bingo card. I have this very tailored to my knitting style, my production, what makes me happy when making. I know that this is not going to apply to all of you. So some people may never want to do brioche in their life, and I totally understand it. And I accept you for your knitting journey and what projects you want in your needle. So if you want to replace brioche with something else, I'll give you recommendations right after this section. So rapid fire. First section is using stash yarn. The first pattern is Art's Hat by me, Taylor Brooks. The second pattern is the Riggy's Beanie by Gudrun Johnston. The third pattern is Toffee Mitts by Christina Korber-Reith. This is a new to me designer. And the last one is the Triagonal Shawlette by Amba O'Brien. These patterns use fingering or DK weight yarn and are intended for me to use some full single skeins of yarn in my stash. Next up is some colorwork socks. I have the Starflight socks by Allison Lutz. This is a new to me designer and also from a book that I own. Next is the Cuff Clubs, both Volume 1 and Volume 2 by Summer Lee. This is a great dollar value for what you get in the pattern. It is every month you're getting a new update with a new cuff pattern. I couldn't recommend these patterns more. Summer Lee is the queen of sock knitting, and if you haven't heard it yet, here you go. Next are the Slippy Ribby socks by me. Mosaic is colorwork, everybody. It's much easier than stranded knitting. You're only working with one color at a time, and this is a very beginner-friendly sock pattern to try that out. Next is the Yuletide Cheer socks by Tracy Becca-Loken. This is a new to me designer, and the spelling will be up here on the screen. Next section, 100% scrap projects. First is the Hearthside cardigan by Wool and Pine. Wool and Pine has a lot of good scrap projects, so go ahead and check out their entire Ravelry library to find some more. This would also be a brioche cardigan, which would fall into a couple other categories for me. Next up is Luke by Rebecca Mauser. These socks are knitted flat. Very interesting to me. I've read through the pattern. I can't wait to make these, so much so that they are on my Make It 9, which you'll see in another video this month. And then lastly, I have the Chapter Shawl by Lily Kate France, a new to me designer, and this is gorgeous. The color combinations are endless and scrappy beyond comparison. So, next section, pullovers. First, I have the Autumn League pullover. It has a interesting design element at the neckline, and this has been on my to-do list for years. Then the Frankie V by Kelly Fowler. I test knit this pattern. It is wonderful. Kelly is a great pattern writer. Next, I have Passerine by Chloe Elizabeth Birch. It's new to me designer from a book that I own, and I recently came across this again, and I know it's going to be on my needles. Next is Missoni Accomplish by Espace Tricot. I just think this pattern, I love the zigzag design. So those are some pullover patterns to check off some boxes on my Make 9. Next section, brioche. We're going to go through 2 here. I already mentioned the Hearthside cardigan by Wool and Pine. This is a brioche cardigan. Next up, Harlow Flip by Andrea Mowry. Andrea Mowry has a whole Harlow series. Harlow that's fingering weight, Harlow worsted, and then this flip that's intended to have a flipped brim where the brioche stays consistent through the entire hat. Um, all of these are great beginner-friendly brioche patterns. You can do one color, you can do two colors like the pattern calls for. The world is your oyster with these patterns. Next up is the Reading Cardigan by Jared Flood. This is gorgeous, and I know that Jared Flood's construction is similar to the Coco Knits method, or is exactly the same as the Coco Knits method. I could use reading up some more on that, but I would love to knit this cardigan, and it'd be perfect for those work days that I'm freezing in my office or at an office out of town. Good for every situation. Next up, Intarsia. This is also going to be my new technique this year, as I mentioned. So first off, the Sailor Slippers by Annie Germain. This is on my Make 9. I can already check it off of my Make 9. However, I've not done it with Intarsia. On my next podcast, I'll show you some of the yarn that I purchased in order to make these with Intarsia, as I don't have much bulky yarn that would work well in this pattern from Stash, so I had to acquire some. These are also going to be a gift. So family who's watching here, you're getting slippers. And Mom, if you're watching, I'm using your washer to felt my slippers for everybody. Thank you in advance. Next up, I have Palette by Yamagara. This is a new to me designer, but this is very, very pretty. And this is also in a book. I've been looking at this for a while. But I guess when I saw it was Intarsia and Seams 2 years ago when the 52 weeks of Easy Knits came out, I said, I'm not doing that because I was averse to seaming and weaving in ends. But this year I'm trying to be better at that. Next up is Ardent by Kindred Red. This is also a new to me designer from a Pom Pom magazine book. Next section, shawls. I have first the Frank shawl by Joji Locatelli. These are also great. This one's great for stash yarn. You need 4 skeins of fingering weight sock yarn, and the construction is very fun. So I knit this up last year. It's on my list of projects to weave in ends on, and it's a fun knit. Next up is also Amran by Joji Locatelli. This one is a fingering weight shawl, 1 skein of sock yarn. She has a lot of single skein sock yarn patterns. So check out Joji for some great shawls and single skein patterns. Next up is Tropical Dilemma by Laura Dobratz. This is designed for a fade, so it will be good for scraps if you can figure a fade, and it's in fingering weight yarn. Next is the Magpie Darling Shawl by Amanda Kafka. I have some sparkle in my stash that I really would love to wear around my neck. I've knit a sparkle version of a hat that I have designed, but I have not used sparkle outside of that. So we're gonna try this Magpie Darling, probably in a hot pink if my stash is speaking to me in that way. And lastly, for shawls, I have the Teacup Shawl by Colleen Kinserly. While I was doing research for this video, this popped up on my Ravelry page. This is a new to me designer, and I love the lace and the garter bumps throughout this, so I have a feeling this is going to be on my needles pretty soon. Next section is gift knits. Some of these are my go-tos. I already mentioned the Arts Hat at the beginning of this section, but also the DRK Everyday Socks by Andrea Mowry are wonderful. The Bear Paw Socks by Andrea Mowry are the DK version of this pattern, but the DRK Everyday Socks have fit everybody that I've gifted them to. The ribbon gives you such good flexibility in sizing, so I cannot, if you do not know the true size, the true circumference of somebody's foot, maybe they just give you, I'm a size 9 in men's. Well, that's really hard to go off of because our feet are all funnily shaped very funny and unique to our bodies. So try the DRK Everyday Socks for those people that you don't want to go measure their foot or you don't live near them to measure their foot, and they will fit like a glove. Next up is the Hello Sailor sock set. I love all of the texture in the sock set, and you get multiple patterns. I was going to tell you how many, but you get multiple patterns in this set just by purchasing one. Next, I gift knit this for many people this past season, the Brocalion by Audrey Borrego. It's a great ear warmer pattern, super fun to knit. Used about 25 grams of worsted weight yarn, so it's good for some scraps as well, and it fits everybody great. It was a great travel project, super simple to knit. If you're a beginner and you're looking for a good free pattern to try out combining knits, pearls, and slip stitches all together, this is the one to try out. One note on Audrey Borrego's patterns: she has made them all free on Ravelry, so be sure to check her out. Lastly is the thumbnail hat by me. This is also the pattern that I had knit a sparkle version out of that I mentioned when talking about the Magpie Darling shawl. So this hat is very quick to knit. It's 100% stockinette and will fit most of your family because of the construction.
Hi, Editing Taylor here. I forgot to mention that I have a pattern discount code for all of the patterns of mine that I have now mentioned so far. You can enter in code TLB Knits 75 at checkout on Ravelry and you'll get 75% off of all of my patterns. And they will be all in the Ravelry bundle that is linked down below. Thank you.
Next section is crochet. So the first pattern I like to highlight is the Olivia shawl by Toni Lipsey. Toni Lipsey makes great beginner patterns, and this one will be great for a beginner. The next one is the Water Clover by Isa Katapilan. This is a new to me designer and from a book. I am very interested in knitting this summer, or crocheting this summer. It takes sport weight yarn, but the sport weight yarn it calls for, it's on a lighter side, so you may be able to squeeze it out with fingering weight yarn, which I have done as a yarn substitution for this base before. Next up is Pastèque by Madalena Basteica. This is from a book. I have already crocheted this last summer. It's in my box of lips to even ends and on, but it was very fun to crochet. It whipped up in no time, and this is a pattern that I subbed out fingering weight yarn for a sport weight base that worked out just fine. I got gauge and everything. And lastly is a great beginner pattern for crochet is the Bellevue Crochet Wrap by Bobby Infeld. And this is published through Woolstock, or not Woolstock, through Blue Sky Fibers using their Woolstock light yarn. And it's good to modify whether you want a really long cowl to wrap around multiple times or a short one just for a quick throw it on and get out the house. That is a great pattern. My next section is cardigans. We have the Book Club cardigan by Sari Nordlund. This is a very popular pattern that I have recently purchased yarn for. This is also on my Make 9. I have the Felix cardigan by Amy Christoffers. I have knit this one before. I think I made a very bad yarn and button choice, but it's a beautiful pattern, very fun to knit. Next is the Winter Moonlight cardigan by Minimi Knit Design. This is a new to me designer, and this just screams luxury. I think that I could throw this on with any work outfit and I would look very professional no matter what color I knit it into. Maybe I won't do hot like neon, but I have some variegated purple yarn that is called my name. And then lastly, The Louder by Rebecca Clow. This also comes as a pullover, a v-neck, a vest, and it's round neck, v-neck, and it comes in pullover, cardigan, and vest. What a great value for your money. Rebecca Clow is known for doing that. So I love cables. I love this pattern, and I have stash yarn for it. And my last section to go rapid fire through is cable socks, the Galliano socks by Tracy Miller. I've knit these a couple times and they might come back on my needles this year. They are very fun, quick to memorize pattern. You wouldn't think so with cables. Like this looks very complex, but it's very simple. Great first cable sock pattern. And next is the Cider House socks by Summer Lee. Again, the sock knitting queen. You can't leave her out of cable socks. And these have also been on my list for a while. So that is all I have for our pattern. So let's talk about some ideas for what if you want to make your own bingo card, but you do not know where to fill in the blanks. Okay, so here are some things that I did not have on my bingo card that maybe will make its way to yours. We could add some more boxes for using scrap yarn. There is a never-ending supply of scrap yarn in my stash, and if you don't have any in your stash, but you are friends with other knitters, I bet they would be willing to help you out with this and gift you some scrap yarn. So that gives me to another one. Make a knit to donate or donate some of your yarn. There are plenty of women's centers, family centers in your area. I contact my local church in order to find out which ones are accepting donations because they stay in close contact. And especially in my climate. I live in Northwest Ohio. It gets cold. Everybody deserves a hand knit beanie made with love. Next, you could try some short rows. I work at the local yarn store, Chickadee Knit Studio, and a lot of people come in for help with short rows. They are surprisingly simple, and that's probably one of the pieces of feedback I get is this was a lot easier than I thought it would be. So you could try some short rows. The Riggy's beanie that I brought up last section would be perfect for your first short row pattern because you never have to resolve them, and you'll see that in the pattern. You could try a new sock heel construction. Let's say you've been heel flap and gusset forever. Maybe you try a toe up sock using a Flegel heel. They're great. Maybe you try a short row heel, a German short row heel. That one's also a lot of fun. Maybe you try to cut in your first heel. So that brings me to another box that you could add, which is cutting your knitting. You could try a steek, which I've never done, but I'm planning to do this year. You could try a cut in thumb hole on, which is also steeking still technically, but you can cut in your thumb hole on some colorwork mittens. You can cut in your heel on your sock. So cutting your knitting can get very fun and it's scary. So why not challenge yourself and cross off a bingo box at the same time? And lastly, I am not opposed to duplicating some of these boxes. So let's say that I have 5 pullovers that I want to knit this year. I'll just put them in random boxes. Or maybe you say you specifically want to use a couple skeins of yarn that have been in your stash since 2018. Why don't you write those in on your bingo card? Just say, use this yarn. And you can even write down some pattern ideas or add it to your Ravelry queue to be able to hold yourself accountable and make it really easy to pick up your needles and start knitting and reaching some of your goals this year. I really hope you enjoyed going through my 2026 bingo calendar or bingo card. Throughout this calendar year, I would like to cross off every box on this board. Again, I can only cross off 2 at a time. Everybody's rules are different. You are the captain of your knitting ship. So please knit and make how it makes you happy and feel the most joy. This is not meant to be stressful. This is how we intentionally slow down in our days. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please like and subscribe and leave me some comments about the design question I asked at the beginning, as well as what are you planning to put on your bingo card this year. Be sure to tune in the coming weeks where I will take you through my box of whips, tell you a bit more about my Make 9, and I will be filming a podcast every other week. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.